Hell hath no fury like these monsters. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 terrifying female creatures from myths and folklore. For this list, we're looking at female figures from myth and folklore whose stories and murderous predilections have left people around the world sleeping with the light on, or not at all. Since we are talking about creatures, we'll be excluding deities usually depicted in more or less human form. Number 20. Cielo, Greco-Byzantine mythology.
You live your life in the open, like I did, long ago.
This bloodthirsty demon jealously attacks women who have what she never will: children. Cielo is very particular about who she feeds on, preferring virgins, pregnant women, or women with babies. And when she has found an appropriate girl, she is merciless. Similar to a vampire, Cielo sinks her talons into them and then sucks their blood. The female demon causes infertility, miscarriage, or the death of infant children. Perhaps even worse, she can possess women and force them to murder children. She doesn't attack only women either, but sometimes goes after the children themselves, especially children who've been left unattended. Number 19. Yuki-onna, Japanese folklore. This name is given to a mysterious and enticing snow woman who haunts snow-laden areas in the dead of winter. The spirit of a woman who froze to death, she's easily recognizable with pale skin, icy blue lips, and long raven black hair combining to create her frigid beauty. But the very whiteness of her skin makes her hard to spot in a snowstorm, a fact she uses to her advantage. Like many other Japanese spirits, she leaves no footprints, and she can also suddenly transform into mist or snow. This makes it easy for her to come upon unwary travelers and dispatch them with her fatal freezing breath. Number 18. Rusalki, Slavic mythology.
What Rusalka is about is a water spirit or sprite, which the Czech term for such a creature is a Rusalka.
These pale, beautiful creatures are the spirits of women who died by drowning, either by their own hand or someone else's. Largely an aquatic people, Rusalki are known to come crawling out at night to climb trees and comb their long, wet hair. That'd be creepy enough on its own, but they also have a dangerous habit of luring men into the water and drowning them. To make matters worse, they like to laugh and tickle people. Sure, that probably doesn't sound so bad, but most tickle sessions aren't as fatal as these.
Uncle! I can't breathe.
Number 17. Soucouyant, Caribbean folklore. By day, these innocent little old ladies look like they couldn't hurt a fly. But by night, watch out. When night falls, they toss aside their wrinkled skin and become horrifying blood-sucking hags. Traveling across the night sky in a ball of flame, the Soucouyant seeks out her victims.
Something called a Soucouyant. It's an old lady that changes her skin at night, and she will turn into a ball of fire.
They take advantage of even the tiniest crack to enter a home. Once inside, they feast on a sleeping victim, and said victim will awaken with bruises, if they're lucky, that is. The not-so-lucky ones either become a Soucouyant or die, at which point the Soucouyant takes their skin to live in during the day.
What happened to this man?
Whatever it is.
I killed him.
After driving him mad.
Number 16. Scylla, Greek mythology.
The Scylla and Charybdis. It's the Odyssey from one of the 4 nightmare chapters. Scylla was a monster.
Immortal with a 6-pack of dog heads around her beltline, plus a cat tail and 12 tentacles, Scylla isn't exactly something you'd want to see when you're kayaking. Dog heads aside, she has quite the living arrangement. Scylla lives in a cave on one side of the narrow Strait of Messina, directly across from her partner in crime, Charybdis. And each is prone to eating any sailor who gets too close, giving birth to the phrase between Scylla and Charybdis, which basically means between a rock and a hard place. If you do manage to kill Scylla, don't stick around too long to celebrate because her old man, the sea god Phorkys, will come and bring her back to life.
That is Scylla. Insatiable for blood, she lurks in the shadow. hoping to fill her belly.
Number 15. Jenny Greenteeth, English folklore.
Who needs this tender morsel?
This monster gets her name from her green skin and razor-sharp teeth. She lives in bogs, ponds, or rivers covered in slime and algae with her long hair swirling around her. If anyone gets too close, she pulls them into the water and holds them down until they drown. Her favorite victims are young children or the very elderly, and in some legends, she doesn't just drown her victims, she eats them.
What a fine meal you'll make. Be the rest of you as sweet as your duck.
She's associated with duckweed, which can gather into a thick mat on the surface of a pond so that it looks like solid ground, leading children to try to walk on it and sink down into the water.
Judy? Oh, God! Judy!
Number 14. Yuki-onna, Slavic mythology. These supernatural kidnappers live in the trees and bushes near water and take the form of red hat-wearing old women. Their MO? Stealing newborn babies and replacing them with their own children, called changelings. Fortunately, there are ways to protect infants from being snatched. For one, it's important to never wash your baby's diapers at nighttime. Otherwise, the swamp demon might pull the old switcheroo.
What's wrong, Mommy?
Additionally, keep your child safe by keeping them out of the moonlight, having them wear a red hat, and tying a red ribbon on their hand. Some versions of the myth say that Yuki-onna are more than just kidnappers, though. Supposedly, they can also shapeshift into beautiful young nymphs in order to, you guessed it, seduce and kill young men. Number 13. Ohaguro Beitari, Japanese folklore. This creature, often dressed like a beautiful bride, calls out to young men, but modestly hides her face. Intrigued, the men approach her, anticipating a treat for their eyes. But when they get close, she turns around to reveal that her face is a featureless white mask with a gaping blackened mouth. Sometimes these creatures will even appear outside a man's house, pretending to be his wife. Ohaguro Beitari is a part of a class of monsters that appear as beautiful women from a distance. There are many other types, including the Rokurokubi, whose necks stretch out to entangle their victims, and the Jorogumo, who is actually a bloodthirsty spider. Number 12. Lamia, Greek mythology.
You're hunting a lamia.
Come again?
It's a monster. Juices hearts, chugs the blood.
Lamia wasn't always a monster. She was once the queen of Libya, in a blissful affair with Zeus, the king of the gods. Zeus's wife Hera of course found out, and as she's wont to do, exacted revenge by killing Lamia's children, and in an ironic twist, turning Lamia into a child-killing savage. Usually depicted as having snake-like features, Lamia also has the ability to remove her eyes from her face and then put them back again. Although some say this trick was a gift from a pitying Zeus, since Hera cursed her to never close them. Some myths chalk Lamia's new look up to Hera's revenge, but Homer's Odyssey makes a claim it was a genetic trait from her mother, Hecate.
She is the bearer of the demon child. Beware, Hecate.
Number 11. Harpies, Greek and Roman mythology.
Harpy, from the Latin harpia. The ancient Greeks believed they were winged death spirits. It says they're half woman, half beast.
These monsters, the spirits of wind, have the face of a beautiful woman but the body of a fierce bird. Their main goal in life is to steal food from people and leave them to starve. In other cases, they swoop down and carry evildoers off to be tortured. Vicious and sadistic, they live on the Strophides Islands, waiting for the chance to snatch something up. Harpies have been known to fill various terrifying roles in myth. On the Greek side, at Zeus's command, they kept King Phineus captive on an island and never allowed him to eat, whereas the Romans described them as stealing an entire feast from the Trojans, prophesying that the group would starve.
And for good measure they placed me here, to be tormented by hunger and harpies.
Number 10. Furies, also known as Erinyes, Greek mythology.
The Furies are deities of vengeance. Their tears ran of blood and they had snakes for hair. If there was a crime that had gone unpunished, the Furies would do the punishing.
Also known as Furies or Dairi in Roman myth, Erinyes are demons out to exact vengeance. Living in Erebus, part of the underworld, Erinyes are a hodgepodge of all things scary. They've got hair made of snakes, the wings of a bat, and a dog's head, with bloodshot and raving eyes. As terrifying as they may be to look at, they'd be even worse to be around, since they have a reputation for lashing people to death with brass-studded whips. In the set of Greek tragedies, the Oresteia, the goddess Athena makes them guardians of righteousness rather than retribution.
These are the Furies, but they do not strike without being summoned.
But rest assured, they defend justice with just as much fury. Number 9. Kuchisake-Onna, Japanese legend. Her name means slit-mouthed woman, and with good reason. She is the ghost of a woman whose mouth was slit from ear to ear by her jealous husband. According to urban legend, this restless spirit wears a surgical mask to hide her mutilated face, approaching strangers and asking if they think she's pretty. If they say no, she kills them with a pair of scissors. If they say yes, she removes the mask, revealing her mutilated mouth. What about now, she asks. If the victim says no, she cuts them in half. If they say yes, she slits their mouth open to look like hers. A lose-lose situation if ever there was one. Number 8. Black Annis, English folklore. This crone has a blue face, iron claws, and a distinct fondness for the taste of human flesh. At night, she wanders the glens of Leicestershire looking for victims. Her favorite food? Children, although she will take a lamb in a pinch. Before she eats a child, she skins them alive and wears it around her face. Quite the fashion statement. Or she may use the hides to decorate her walls, which probably need a little something. See, she lives in a cave that she dug herself with her long, sharp claws, with an oak tree in front of the entrance. It's called Black Annis's Bower, and she likes to hide in the tree in order to capture unsuspecting travelers.
Wunderbar!
Number 7. Aswang, Filipino folklore. These flesh-eating shapeshifters are regular townspeople by day, but at night they transform into terrifying creatures or vicious animals. As a strange and frightening combination of vampires, witches, and werewolves, they feed on children, including unborn babies. In order to get at a fetus inside a mother's womb, they use a long proboscis to suck the baby out while the mother is sleeping. In some stories, they make a horrible tick-tick sound, which is louder when they're far away and softer when they're close. Confused, people try to run away from the noise, but instead, they run right into Aswang's clutches. Number 6. Mare, Germanic folklore. Many folktales speak of creatures that attack sleeping victims, and the mare falls into this category. These evil spirits like to climb aboard a person's chest as they sleep, riding them like a horse. The victim stays asleep, but this exertion enables the mare to steal their breath and energy. The victim awakens the next day feeling exhausted and drained. This creature thus gave rise to the word nightmare. Mares don't only ride humans, though. They also exhaust animals, such as horses, and even like to climb aboard a tree, leaving it stunted and tangled. Mares also tangle themselves in the hair of humans or animals, leaving them with a bad case of bedhead. Number 5. Banshees, Irish mythology.
Binsi. It's Gaelic for banshee.
Irish folklore. A creature whose scream warns of imminent death.
The name Banshee comes from the Gaelic for woman of the mounds, referring to their preferred living quarters on the mounds of the Irish terrain. Recognized by their long, messy hair and fondness for green or red attire, the Banshee can go from one end of the beauty spectrum to the other at will. Legends claim they're the ghosts of women who either died while giving birth or were murdered, and have a piercing voice to warn of imminent death. Though the Banshee is identified in Irish myth, both Scottish and Welsh folklore have similar figures as well, with wonderful names like the Hag of the Mist.
God, really? No, I know how it sounds, but basically it means that she can sense when someone's close to death.
Number 4. Bloody Mary, British folklore.
All you know is if you say her name 3 times in the bathroom mirror, she appears and scratches your eyes out.
In the dark of night, in a candlelit room, look into a mirror and chant the name Bloody Mary 3 times. They say this evil spirit appears to those who complete the ritual. When she appears, she might tell your fortune or reveal the face of your future husband. But she might also scream, curse you, claw your eyes out, drink your blood, or even strangle you and steal your soul. It's impossible to know what will happen, but either way, this blood-soaked apparition is sure to give a fright. Seriously, maybe you'd be better off with a Ouija board, or with just not asking about the future. Number 3. Succubi. Various.
That's a Quarina. I haven't seen one of these outside of Egypt before.
These days, succubi tend to be portrayed as sensual and beautiful, but in ancient and medieval times, they were often depicted with demonic features such as claws, wings, and tails. The female counterpart of incubi, or incubuses, they're said to crawl on top of men in their sleep, seducing them in dreams and having sex with them. It doesn't get creepier than that. In Arabic mythology, spirits called Qarina are similar, using the same MO to drain their victims of life force. To make matters worse, Qarina are said to be invisible. Those blessed with clairvoyance can see them, but only in the form of an innocent-looking pet such as a cat or dog.
You know, a Quarina's feeding signature is similar to that of a succubus.
Number 2. Baba Yaga, Slavic folklore. Ruthless and clever, this trickster figure lives in the depths of the woods, with her house supported by chicken legs and surrounded by a fence of human bones. As a witch, she can fly around in a mortar with a pestle in hand. She is very powerful, so people sometimes ask her for help.
You don't know what I am.
I know you're a witch, and you can see the future. Tell me mine.
Those who seek her out sometimes find a maternal guide, but she also eats anyone who displeases her.
Blood. Give me a taste.
Even if you do convince her to help, Baba Yaga isn't gentle. For example, in one folktale, she gives a young girl a skull full of fire, which completely incinerates the girl's stepmother and stepsisters. Talk about a fairy godmother.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Medusa, Greek mythology.
The temptation to look at me is too hard to resist.
When it comes to Medusa, looks really can kill. With snakes for hair and a gaze that turns mortals to stone, she is the most famous of 3 winged sisters called the Gorgons. Eventually, the hero Perseus beheaded her, with the help of 4 of the Greek gods. But she was so powerful that even after she was killed, she had the power to turn anyone to stone with just one look into her dead eyes. Her head was eventually given to Athena, who put it on her shield to ward off evil. Just goes to show that even in death, Medusa remains one of the most dangerous creatures in Greek mythology.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.